So can you tell us more about your estate? I know that you are very focused on Pinot Noir. Maybe that is from the Burgundy inspiration.
Yeah, so I'll start with how we found the property.
Okay.
My wife and I, on the side, invest in some real estate. And so for years, I was always on Zillow looking for properties. And we saw this property 5 years before we ended up purchasing it. It was on Zillow. It was so far out of our price range as you wouldn't even dream of it involving like winning the lottery. Um, but we saw it would work out absolutely perfect for us. It had a main house. It had a couple of auxiliary houses now that are bungalows. It had 12 acres of old hazelnuts that were not productive as hazelnuts anymore. But I had a suspicion that it would work really well for vines because in my career managing vineyards for others, I had planted another vineyard a few miles down the road at the same quite low elevation that in my books reading in school would have been too low to make great wine grapes. But we had done that for a neighbor, and it ended up making really good Pinot Noir, and according to them, like exceptional Chardonnay. And so I thought, and the yields generally were higher, they were richer, they ripened earlier. And for the kinds of wines we wanted to make, that was perfect. And so we kind of always watched this, and then ended up, years go by, price comes down, and it was like, and the finances kind of met the dream a little bit, or at least got closer. And so we went and viewed the property for the first time, met the wonderful owner whose name was Adelina Slocum. And I think she was 92 around there at the time when we looked at the property. And she had been born on the property. Her parents were Italian immigrants. Her dad had purchased the property with his discharge pay from World War I. And so we named the vineyard in his honor and called it Warrior's Rest. And Adelina had all these great stories. Here, there was prohibition in the 1930s, and that was when Adelina was growing up. So she's this little girl, and her Italian dad is making wine. I believe, frowned upon at the time. And so her job was to like walk down to the road, and if anybody drove by or walked by, she'd run up and tell her dad to hide the wine. And so she just had all sorts of great stories of living here for over 90 years. And we were able to purchase the property. And the hazelnuts were very old, they're very blighted. And I've got some videos of my wife, Kim, literally just like getting a tree rocking and then pushing it over, just barehanded. And so it was time for those trees to come out. We took out about half of the hazelnuts and then planted 2 acres of Pinot Noir, 3 acres of Chardonnay in 2017. And to me, that was kind of a disproportionately high amount of Chardonnay, but I knew I wanted to give Chardonnay a shot. And when we did our most recent planting last year, we finished it out with Pinot. So now we're like 6 acres of Pinot and 3 acres of Chardonnay, which I think is a good balance.
Thanks for watching this video. You can watch the full podcast episode by clicking here, or watch another interesting video by clicking here. Let's continue the discussion in the comment section and see you in the next one.